This is what I've been working on the last 6 or 8 months or something like that. I actually bought this thing a while ago, but just kind of like bought it and set it to the side. Hadn't really done anything with it while I was finishing some other projects and stuff, but been really hammering on it the last little while. I'd like to get this thing out this summer. This is a kind of a street strip build that I'm doing. So it's a 1985 Chevy C10 factory short bed fleet side. So when I got it, I got it for a pretty good price, but it was completely rust free. But it was kind of stripped. It did have a small block 350 in it, 700 R4, and a 10 bolt, stock 10 bolt in the rear. The interior was completely gutted. It did have some like weird seats with some crappy brackets, stuff like that. The doors, even though the outside skins were good, the doors on the inside were just hammered, and a lot of stuff was broken. But I've actually done quite a bit to this, so I'll try and go through everything that I've done. I guess maybe it started at the rear. So like I said, I wanted this to be a street strip. And it all actually started with these rims. My brother actually had these rims on the rear, hanging around. They're the Vision, the Nitro Vision series. So they're a 15x10 with 4 1/4 back spacing. And they're a 5 on 4 3/4 bolt pattern. He originally bought them for his Camaro. And so when I kind of decided, he just said, hey, you can have them. So when I decided to use those, I kind of knew it was like, well, I'm not going to keep the 10 bolt. So I decided to go with an aftermarket 9-inch, which is a quick performance 9-inch. It's 2 inches narrower than the stock 10 bolt. I believe stock 10 bolt's 64 inches wide on these, and this one's 62 wheel mount to wheel mount. And then did their disc brakes too. So gears in it are 389 gears and a True Track in there. Pretty cool. Also the tires, ended up going with Mickey Thompson ET Street. Trying to remember the size. Oh yeah, 295, 65, 15. Basically works out when I measure them right at a 30-inch tire. So kind of started with those with the rim and tire, mocked it up in there, got the axle. The other thing is I did a 4/6 drop on this. It's 4 inches in the front, 6 in the rear. The rear is just a, man, this thing's so low. I don't know if I can get a good shot of it, but I guess you can kind of see it over there. It's a C-notch in the rear, and then, you know, flip. So with this being aftermarket, I obviously just, you know, set pinion angle, did everything, and then welded my own perches on. Also Caltrack bars, so they're stock leaf springs. I just took the overload off, and then Caltrack bars to try and get some traction. Welded my own lower shock mounts on. Like I said, quick performance disc brake kit with their disc brake lines in the rear. Those are really sweet. And then, like I said, on the front, so front rims are the same style, Vision, Nitro Vision series. These are a 15x7 with 4-inch back spacing. And then just some Cooper Cobra radials. I'm trying to remember the size on these that I got. 215, 70, 15. And then actually what I did, so those are, so C10s are normally 5 on 5 bolt pattern, not like the common 5 on 4 3/4 like the Vets and the Camaros, Chevelles, Novas, you know, all of that. So obviously the rear I converted to 4 3/4 with the aftermarket housing and those rims. So the front, I did the same thing. I converted the front bolt pattern to 5 4 3/4, and I did that by using, so this being a mid-80s C10, it had the 1-inch thick rotors, and after doing some research, I found that the like late 80s, early 90s Camaros ran the exact same size rotor, exact same size bearings, spindle, everything as these. It's just that they're a 5 4 3/4 hub. And so all I did was just go and get off of rockauto.com some replacement rotors that had hubs already on them for a 91 Camaro and bolted them up. Same bearings, you know, I got new bearings, but bearings for that kit. And they fit on here. Everything was perfect. Still using the stock square body brakes, all of that. So that was actually pretty cool, really easy. And then the 4-inch drop comes from a 2-inch drop spring and a 2-inch drop spindle. So that went together pretty good. I did when I tore it apart, like 2 out of the 4 ball joints in the front were snapped in half. So I replaced all brand new ball joints, upper and lower, in the front. So that was pretty cool. It's nice to know that it's all done. So I did a front roll pan, and so I got rid of the bumper, did a front roll pan, did a rear roll pan, and obviously this is going to be a street strip, so I moved the gas tank into the back, so aftermarket 20-gallon fuel cell, moved the battery back here. I don't have the cables hooked up right now. And then also do have my on-off switch that I mounted right there too. Guess I can pop the hood so you can see I had sourced these doors just off a dude on Facebook that I knew that was parting out a K10, and he had these that were actually in really good shape. Both outside, so no rust or anything on them, but then the inside was actually pretty good too. And then I freshened them up. I'll show that in a second. So on the hood, I did do it's literally like a universal hood scoop that fit perfect for what I was doing, and I had to because of my kind of setup here. So I did a video previous on this and what I did here, but it is a 8.1 liter that I converted to carburetor. So the motor is virtually stock, except for it does have a Raylar BP202 cam in it. And then obviously that is a Dart manufacturing carb intake. It is a 850 CFM electric choke, mechanical secondary carb. Again, this is a street strip, so I'm not really going like full race. As you can tell, I kind of set up the stance and a couple things a little bit more strip than street, but it's still going to be driven on the road quite a bit. And I'm not going all out drag racer. I just want to be able to go to the track, have some fun, see how fast I can get it. I do not want to go faster than 11.5. I don't plan on doing a roll cage. I don't plan on doing any of that. But yeah, it's pretty good. And the carb is it's Pro, I believe, what is it again? It's Pro Forma or whatever. It's the Jegs version. It's basically a Holley double pumper copycat. And then the big thing is, this intake's actually pretty tall, and it is a dual plane, so I did put a 1-inch spacer on it, and then that with the carb, and then my 4-inch air intake, I had to cut the hole and do something for a scoop, so that's the reason why I did that there. The headers are actually for a 68 to 72 Chevelle with a big block. That's what those are made for. And of course, 8.1s, you can bolt up any old big block header onto it. But I actually really like these. I found a dude who did this on a big block in a C10 because they're long tubes and they tuck up way nicer than most other long tubes that I found. As you can see, you know, the collector, like it doesn't really hang down hardly at all, which is really nice. And it is a 2-inch primary and a 3.5-inch collector. Pretty big, but I am trying to like maximize power on this thing. Try to have it be as least restrictive as I can because it isn't, you know, full-on drag race motor. It's not going to rev to the moon. It should produce really good torque, pretty good power with the intake and the cam. But I just didn't want things to be, you know, restrictive. But the wiring was kind of a mess in this thing when I got it. So I did kind of redo some wiring. So I did replace the radiator with this aftermarket one with dual electric fans, and then I ran, you know, fans to some relays and then up. So I actually have the fan set up that one fan turns on with ignition, so one fan's running all the time, and then I have another fan hooked up to a toggle switch inside. So that way, if you know you're going down the road, it's a really hot day and it looks like it's getting hot, I can flip on another fan manually, try and cool it down. Also, it'd be kind of nice, like at the drag strip, if you do a pass, it's a little hot, I can come back and leave a fan on. Even though it's not an electric water pump, it's a mechanical water pump. So water's not circulating through it, but at least will cool down the coolant in the radiator. So that way when I start it up, you know, it should get some really nice fresh fluid right when I start it up. So that'd be nice. Did install the line lock also. And let's see what else. Oh, there's my kind of fuel setup here. So right now it's just HEI distributor, just regular HEI distributor. I might do like an MSD setup later on, but this will get me on the road and running for a little while. Maybe do a MSD box, maybe something that can control timing a little bit better, because I'm pretty sure I'll end up throwing a simple nitrous kit at this too. So it'll be nice to have, you know, a box to run that. But for right now, it's fine. HEI will work. Fuel pressure regulator, you know, my fuel pressure gauge, all of that. So it looks good. might not put out crazy power, but it looks good. So, the transmission that I did in it is a 4L80E that I found off a dude off Facebook Marketplace. It is a 2000 year out of an express van. And then I did a aftermarket 10-inch converter that's supposed to be, I mean, I'm intrigued to see what this really stalls at when I get going. It says it's rated for 2800 to 3200 stall. Now, this thing's a little bit heavier, big block, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into that. So, I mean, if it stalls at 2800, I'd be pretty happy. So we'll see what that ends up being. So the interior, like I said, it was gutted. There was really not that much in here. No carpet, no nothing. There was 2 holes in the floor that I ended up fixing. And then I welded them, filled the holes. Then I did Herculiner down on the floor. And then I bought this carpet kit. So the seat, I literally found off of a local Facebook, club or Facebook page. Dude literally had this. I mean, this thing's in fantastic shape, like really fantastic shape. And he's like, "Oh, $100, come get it." And I'll be there in a second. So I went and picked that up. That was pretty cool. Like I said, the inside of the doors. I actually had another set of square body doors. I have a lot of square bodies. I had another set of square body doors that were actually in really good shape on the interior. And so I kind of made one good set of doors out of 2. And kind of cleaned it up, painted the inside. Oh, that's the other thing, is that this whole inside here was all tan. The original color of this whole truck was a tan color, like a light tan. So, I mean, I painted everything. I kind of like, when I had it all stripped, masked off stuff, prepped it, and painted it all a black. And then actually, you know, I did this black and gray kind of theme in here. There was no dash at all, so I went and got just a junkyard dash that was all cracked, put it on there, and then put this molded cover from LMC. This is the second one of these I've used. I have one in that truck over there that's fantastic, and so I use that. But yeah, so then gauges. So like I said, this thing was pretty much stripped, so I kind of had to take a lot of my stash of square body parts that I have laying around, and had an okay bezel, but of course none of the gauges were working, nothing. So I ended up buying this aftermarket set of gauges. They are Dolphin gauges. So it's a kit, you know, RPM, mile per hour, and it's off of a GPS. So the little GPS things right there. And then, you know, your standard volts, oil pressure, fuel, and water temp. So I literally just fit them in this housing myself. And then ran the whole wiring harness to all the gauges and hooked up so that, you know, the battery's not hooked up, when I flip the lights come on, you know, everything is hooked up, everything works. Really cool. I actually really love the way it looks. Kind of cool. It kind of almost looks factory till you sit there and look at it and realize, whoa, no, it's not. And then no radio, but there's my second radiator fan switch. And then, so this is the shifter I went with. It was kind of hard to find a shifter that I really wanted, because the other thing I didn't mention is in the 4L80E, I got one of those kits to convert it to full manual valve body. So it's just the wiring harness that you hook up, and as soon as you hook it up, it's now full manual valve body all the time. There's a company called, like, I think Jake's Performance makes those, but there's a bunch of companies. The one I bought was an eBay one, but it's exactly the same thing. So with it being a full manual valve body and something that I do plan to drive on the street a little bit, it was kind of hard to find a good ratchet shifter that worked for a 4L80E full manual valve body, and not like bring the suck. So this is a B&M Quicksilver shifter. I kind of built my own, mount for it. So a bunch of those wires coming in is because I hooked up my line lock switch to right here. And then this switch is for my torque converter lockup. So, when you're driving around in fourth, I can just hit the button and turn it on, and the light comes on when it's on, and you got lockup, and you can turn it on and off manually. It's really cool. It's a good shifter though. So, yeah, it's pretty sweet. I like that. But I'm trying to think what else. Also, what I have left to do is this thing's not, the motor runs. In fact, there's a video that I uploaded before of, I got the motor running. I need some more carb tuning. But dialed in some timing, and it seems to fire up and run pretty good and idle and everything right now, but need to get it on the road and do some carb tuning. But got to fill the diff with fluid, have to bleed the brakes, drive shaft, and then exhaust. And we're off and running. So, yeah, hoping in like a month or so. I guess the hardest thing has been, the stupid getting parts. That's really been the hardest part. With all the backlog and all that crap of trying to find parts, and then things taking forever to ship, that's slowed me down the most, to be honest with you, which sucks, but that's all right. We're almost there. It's getting there. But it's pretty cool. It's unique. No doubt about that. I've always wanted one of these. Ever since I was a kid, I always thought these C10s, especially short beds, I always thought that they were freaking awesome. So, pretty excited to get this one on the road and start messing with it. see how fast I can get it naturally aspirated, maybe throw some spray at it. Oh, that was the other thing. The motor is completely rebuilt too. You know, new rings, bearings, all that. And not only that, it's also got ring gap in it. So it's ready for boost, which is nice. Like I said, it might actually get to the point where I have to limit spray a little bit so I don't go faster than 11.5, but I still think it would just be cool. And I do plan on painting this thing. I kind of have an idea of what I want to paint it. Again, I'm not a show car guy. I appreciate guys that build stuff and they make them, you know, show car quality. I walk around and it's cool, but I care more about performance. I just want it to look good from, 10 feet away. So I care more about it doing what I built it to do. So I'll get it looking pretty good with a paint job, but I'm not gonna go crazy on it like anything I do. Anywho, that's my street strip truck.